Bob Chapman's our guest. I want to bring Ted Anderson on briefly and then hold Bob 5 more minutes over. Talk about some more financial news, maybe jam a few calls in. Ted Anderson's here. He bought gold at $950 and sold it to you when it was $1,000. And now that gold's up at $1,060 right now, he's running out of the gold he bought at the $1,000 level. That is, he bought this gold when the market was $1,000. He bought the silver. He's almost out of it. I just bought a bag of it last week. These silver half dollars, those are almost gone. He bought a hoard of it when silver was at the $12 level. So that's what's priced into the market. You got to tell them Alex Jones sent you to get this deal, or it's the higher price. That's still a great deal. This is like having a time machine to go back. Ted, briefly, give folks the coins you've got that are super discounted, and then we're going to ask Bob straight up if he thinks that's a good deal. Ted Anderson.
All right, well, I can tell you what I have. I have francs at 238. Got British sovereigns at 293. Lakota coins are at $22.30 still. Walking liberties, man, you're not going to find those anywhere else at this price. $8.69. You're right, the market is going up. Man, I'm just depressed. I've been reading economic news, and then I come on to get on the air with you, and I hear Bob talking. I mean, I was just reading an article that says that the dollar, since TARP, the supply of money has increased 2 to 1 from what we had just a couple of years ago. The only thing that's stopping us from having complete out-and-out blasted inflation is just the velocity. It's just crazy, Alex. It just makes me, I mean, I've got kids that are going to be entering the job force here in just a couple of years. I now have a grandchild, and this is the kind of world we're leaving for them. It just drives me nuts.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not happy that we've been proven completely right and that Bob 6 months ago said in the fall it would go above 1,050. That's what he said on air. I pulled up his newsletter earlier, and I'm not pleased to be right. But at least it's a silver lining in this big rain cloud that at least the listeners can get a great deal. Bob Chapman, how good a deal is that Ted Anderson's offering?
Oh, it's a very good deal, but just as important is the fact you get diversification there. You've got all of these different kinds of coins in a fifth of an ounce or a quarter of an ounce approximately, and then you've got the silver. Beautiful for barter. And so I like the smaller coins myself. Ted, are you able to get any fractional Gold Eagles and Silver Eagle series?
No, they're not even making them this year. It's real tough. I have some from that I picked up a while ago.
Yeah, a lot of mints have cut back in production while there's even more drive. Let me give people the number, and the brokers will be there till tonight. This deal's good till midnight tonight. 800-686-2237, 800-686-2237, MidasResources.com. Again, 800-686-2237. People are insane if they don't take advantage of this deal.
Well, I'll throw one more at him, Alex. If you buy one of those francs for me, I'll buy a full year subscription to the International Forecaster for you. If you haven't had a chance, I just got to, Bob, I'm reading your literature, and it's like I'm scratching my head as to figure out why people would not move into gold and silver. I mean, it just, if you take a look at the entire
because it's more than tripled in value the last 7 years. People don't like something that's almost quadrupling. They like losing money. 800-686-2237, 800-686-2237. Call right now. Midas Resources, the parent company of the GCN Radio Network. It's where I've shopped around. It's where I buy my gold and silver. The deal Ted just gave you, I certify as awesome. I think you should get involved. 800-686-2237. Thank you, Ted. We're going to come back with Bob Chapman of theInternationalForecaster.com. Bob Chapman for another 5 minutes, and Chris Pinto, documentary filmmaker, is going to be joining us. Bob, again, what will it look like as the dollar dies? Sure, stuff's going to cost more from overseas. We don't really have a lot of industry left. If we have a depression, which we're going into here, we're not agrarian, we're not rural anymore. We're almost 90%, 89% urban. Most people in the country aren't self-sufficient. Globalization was meant to wreck everything, to consolidate it. But are the globalists doing too good a job wrecking their own system?
You might say that they are, but they expected that. And they're probably going to lose probably two-thirds or more of their wealth. They're willing to accept that in order to execute their world government. And they hold a lot of gold, incidentally. And so I think gold's going to come back into the picture monetarily. And there's been talk of that in relation to this new international trading unit that's going to be formed over, I would say, the next year and a half. And so I think that what it's going to do for the American and the world public, although I think America and Europe are going to suffer, and England are going to suffer the most, because they have had the higher standard of living that other people haven't had. In all areas, they do, to some extent, leverage their buying of property, whereas in the remainder of the world, most of the people pay cash for their property, especially residential property. And most Americans don't know that. And so I think that we're going to, over the next year and a half to two, maybe as long as 3 years, we're going to move up to unemployment between 35 and 50%. And that's going to serve as a catalyst for very bad times. And that's what's going to bring on violence. And that's why I talk about law enforcement. You better be on the right side, because if you shoot an American citizen, you're going to die. Guaranteed. There's no way you can win. Not with 450 million.
Well, that's the thing, is the American people have been cowed, but once violence starts, there's nobody more vicious in history. I mean, foreign historians have written about this, and that old instinct's there. It's just going to be rampaging, and I'm not happy about that. I'm upset because the globalists want to sit offshore and orchestrate all this from afar, while the police and military take the brunt of it. Let's talk to Ruth in Louisiana. Take a call for Bob Chapman. Ruth, go ahead.
I wanted to make sure that, and I'm trying to convince a friend of taking her stocks and bringing it into gold and silver shares or IRAs and that sort of thing. Is that a safe bet?
Well, let me say this, ma'am. I'm not going to tell you what I would do, but she certainly should diversify, and she should look at what's been performing. But I wouldn't put everything. I know Bob is himself all in gold from what he said, but I wouldn't put everything in one thing. But yes, if she'd invested in gold 7 years ago when I said it, she would have 3.5 times her wealth when everything else is flat or down. Bob Chapman?
Well, I think people should get out of the market. And if they don't want to be totally in gold and silver coins or in shares, they can go to the strongest currencies in the world right now, and you can buy, well, the best place to go is Canadian treasuries and Swiss franc treasuries, if you don't want to be totally in gold.
So an index of things. We're talking about foreign currencies, Swiss, Canadian. We're talking about gold, silver.
Only in the form of bonds. Only in the form of bonds. You don't want to get involved in the currency market. You don't want to
because the bonds are like cash. The bonds are like gold.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's not as good as gold, but it's second best.
Does that answer your question, Ruth?
Is that, you mean just bonds only in gold and silver? Or IRAs, or is that not a good bet?
Well, every situation is different. What you should do is email me.
Yep, theinternationalforecaster.com. Thank you, Ruth. And thank you, Bob. We'll see you next Friday. Happy birthday, Big 74.
Hello.